So we got CLYDE Winters. This should be interesting. Peace. Denzel, peace was good. So we got CLYDE Winters, who's on SANDHILL. Figured it's interesting. Be an interesting show to watch. So see what's going on with old CLYDE and SANDHILL. Let's go. Talk to me, Sean.
Yes, family. Y'all already know what it is. We in the building. We in the building, getting ready to get it in. I got the brother with me, Dr. CLYDE Winters is with me tonight, and y'all gonna learn some good stuff. We dealing with the Black Aborigines, you know, and let them know what my title is so we can go all the way in.
Black Aborigines.
But before we do that, let's go.
No, we don't need the intro, so I'm sorry. Ain't going on with that. No, get all that shit. I don't need mixtapes, so.
Nobody else had ever written an article. I was the first one to write the articles. In fact, if you go Google it now, they're gonna come up with CLYDE Winters, CLYDE Ahmed Winters. You know, that was back when I was claiming a religion. I don't claim any religions now because that's, you know, religions just cause trouble, you know. But,
yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, but back in the day, yeah, I wrote the first articles on the Black Muslims in America, the Caribbean, Brazil. I even translated a lot of the Brazilian-ish because I understood that, you know, growing up in America, you feel that the most militant Black people have always been Muslims, mainly based on Malcolm X. Because when I was a kid, I used to stay up late, and when my mom and them go to sleep, I'd be trying to listen to Malcolm X on the TV. You know, I love that brother, man. He could just debate, and he always won. Said
he was the best of the best. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Malcolm said debates are good. Yeah. He said you learn from debates.
Yeah, and but you know, the thing is this, that now you know, they all believe in a sense, and you know, and following the Saudi Arabians because they was giving out that money back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so without any further ado, we're going to be talking about the Aboriginal. Let's get into the Black Aboriginals. And I would like to see, I want to ask you the first question, one question, and then I'm going to just let you go ahead and go all the way after I ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Damn, I wrote it down. Where is that? I thought I wrote it down. Well, anyway, let me just ask. Do the
They don't really show. What they found is that they found a genetic relationship among the black Paleo Americans. Okay. The Paleo Americans, they go back to around 10,000-20,000 BC. They found in the sense that there was a relationship between the Paleo here, 20, 30, 40 years.
Switching my Wi-Fi.
this goes back to, yeah. Australian Muslim, Australian Aboriginals, they came to America much later than the African group, because see, the first people to leave Africa 130,000 years in America, the Caribbean, Brazil. I even translated a lot of the Brazilian-ish, because I understood that, you know, growing up in America, you feel that the most militant Black people have always been Muslims, mainly based on Malcolm X. Because when I was a kid, I used to stay up late, and when my mom and them go to sleep, I'd be trying to listen to Malcolm X on the TV. You know, I love that brother, man. He could just debate, and he always won. Said
he was the best of the best. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Malcolm said debates are good.
Yeah.
He said we learn from debates.
Yeah, and but you know, the thing is that now a lot of brothers they don't see Islam really as a good religion, because they following a lot of they're all mainly Wahhabis.
Yeah,
looks good.
Okay,
they're all mainly Wahhabis. You know, they all believe in a sense, and you know, in following the Saudi Arabians, because they was giving out that money back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so without any further ado, we're going to be talking about the Aborigines today. The origin. Let's get into the Black Aboriginals. And I would like to see, I want to ask you the first question. One question, and then I'm going to just let you go ahead and go all the way after I ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Damn, I wrote it down. Where is that? I thought I wrote it down. Well, anyway, let me just ask. Do the Aboriginal people of Australia share any DNA or share any ancestry with Native Americans? And if so, where are they?
Well, they don't really show. What they found is that they found a genetic relationship among the black Paleo Americans. The Paleo Americans, they go back to around 10, 20,000 BC. They found in the census there was a relationship between the Paleo Americans, the Black Indians who were here, 20, 30, 40,000 years ago in South America, in relationship to the Australian people. They did find a genetic relationship, But again, in the sense is that this genetic relationship goes back to it goes back to some of the people in terms of they used to wear a lot of earrings down, and some of the Black people in South America do have this relationship, you see. But the vast majority of Australian Aboriginals, they came to America much later than the African group, because see, the first people to leave Africa 130,000 years ago, they were the Australians, but they mainly settled in the southern United.
All right. CLYDE winners or David Imhotep? Whose claims do you think are more authentic? Anybody familiar with David Imhotep?
In the United States, but we believe in a sense that given the fact that they found mastodon bones in California dating to 130,000 years ago, these would have probably been the Australian people. But they wouldn't have been able to come from Australia because of the Ice Age, which lasted until 10,000 BC. but we find Paleo-Americans here as early as 50, 60,000 BC. So these Australians had to come from Africa. That's why I said that the first people to leave Africa were the Australians, probably around 130, 140,000 years ago. They moved that date back. They used to say that the first people left Africa around 60,000 years ago. Now, because of the fact that they found all these anatomically modern humans, and that's what they call contemporary black people, you know, since they found some of them, they found a lot of their artifacts from Africa on the islands like Crete and all the way to China. So now they pushed back even earlier the out of Africa event.
What timeline would you put on this right here? As you can see the white man behind them, what timeline would you put here?
You would probably put that, that would probably be about the, you know, the 1800s, you know.
Okay, 1800s.
Because see, remember in a sense is that the European, once he, you know, they had already been trading with the Portuguese and the Spanish, but it was in a sense, the British, once they were able to get into Australia, and once they colonized the place, and they began in a sense to enslave many of the brothers over there. Because you remember, Australia was originally a penal colony where they sent a lot of Europeans who had been in prison over to Australia.
Right. Astro Projector said they look nothing like any African.
Well, see, the reason that they look nothing like an African is that, number one, they have the broad cranium. They have these were the first black people who we consider to be anatomically modern humans. And the difference between anatomically modern humans and Neanderthal was the bridge across the eyes. And if you notice, in a sense, the Australian people, they have that strong bridge. It's not as prominent as among the Neanderthals, but they do have that prominent bridge. And that, in a sense, shows there are
TurtleGang Midwest. So, are you familiar with CLYDE winners?
Oh, I'm just now tuning in. Just want to say, highly interesting. I like what he's talking about so far.
Yeah, he's got some interesting twists to things. He's definitely rooted in the out of Africa theory. He also is someone who speaks about the timeline being much older than what they presented. So, you know, I think it's worth listening to. He definitely, you know, his position alone punches holes in a lot of claims that are being made. So I think it's interesting to take a listen to.
Most definitely. Right? Most definitely. Well, I am tuned in, bro. So go ahead and hit that play button.
Let's go.
Their archaic character, you know. I mean, secondly, you know, what black people have to understand is that there's no big Negro. There's no big Negro. There were different black people that evolved or existed in Africa. The first people, in a sense, to be considered anatomically modern Africans, based upon, in a sense, the archaeological excavations. I'm talking about the various African groups that have been found through excavating. The earliest anatomically modern humans would have been, in a sense, the Australian people, and these skeletons go back to 300,000 BC. Then the next group of anatomically modern humans would be the Khoisan. And we find the Khoisan, you know, they date back to around 44,000 BC. Then after the Khoisan, we find around 25,000 BC, the Twa or the Anu people appear. Then around 4,000 BC, you begin to see the Nilotic blacks like us, the taller blacks, you know, of different styles. But see, the most important thing to understand is that there is no big Negro. There is no big nigger. There were different black groups that archaeologists have found, you know, that appear at different times in the archaeological excavations that anthropologists and archaeologists have undertaken to try to determine, in a sense, the various phases of man. See, the only difference between anatomically modern black people and Neanderthal black people was the bridge over the eyes. It was much more prominent, you see.
Okay. All right. Hey, family, real quick, as he begins, he got a PowerPoint presentation ready for us that he put together for us through the weekend. Family, I'm asking you. I'm going to start it off as he's teaching. Let's bless our elder. I'm going to start it off with the first $65 that I got right now on my Cash App. And I'm going to bless the elder with that, giving him my last Cash App, you know, because he deserves it. And please look out. And I'm not saying match it. I know Dr. Daniels will show some love. I know the real people in here will show some love and support. So you can check that. And so if the people think I'm joking, I just sent you a Cash App. I'm hoping you got it. I'm hoping you got it because, yeah, let's see.
I don't have my, I turned my telephone off. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm hoping you got it. Make sure I send it to the right one.
Ron
Dog, you put the link in the chat. I just sent it. So, family, let's show some love and support. Brother Lai, you do a lot of shaking your head, but I don't think show love and support, brother.
You know, last week, your platform, the people on your platform, they were quite generous to the.
Thank you, family. My platform. You see that? This is why they don't mind coming to share, spend some time. You know.
Yes. Let me
you
see.
should see NETER. Yes. So his presentation is up, family, and he's going to give us some great information. Let's show some love. 5, 10, whatever y'all got. 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. Whatever you can afford.
Yes, I see it. You know, but like I said, your platform is very generous.
Yes,
your platform blessed me last week. You know, very, very great. I thank all of you know, if I didn't tell you guys last week, I thank you for the Cash Apps you sent, and you know, this stuff is really good. My Patreon is also important because my Patreon, the people on my Patreon, what they do is that they provide me with the monies that I can be able, in a sense, to do a lot of my research. I do a show every Thursday, and I talk about various aspects of Black history. And what I do is that because of the support of my Patreon, I'm able, in a sense, to Black people, you know, get articles and buy books. I have to buy articles and books sometimes to do new presentations.
That's the most important thing, family, about our support, because we know that he's going to research. He's going to use that to get research, to buy books, to buy whatever it takes to bring us this knowledge and information. So I want to thank y'all also for looking out for our speakers. I appreciate that. Thank y'all, man. All right, you got the floor. Your presentation is showing, and it's on you. As he's showing, family, I want to hear that ring. I want to hear the thing. Bing, 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 bing. Let's hear that.
Anyway, thank you. The Black Aboriginals. You know, this is a very hard subject to talk about. When you talk about the Black Aboriginals, what happens is that many people, many Aboriginal Blacks, many Black Indians, they don't really want to recognize that they have any African ancestry. They don't even want to recognize that they're Black. They want to believe that somehow they just appeared on this continent. And when they appeared on this continent, you know, they just came out of nowhere. But see, the problem with that whole idea is that there's no way that people could have walked over here from Asia, because the Bering Straits, in a sense, they were covered with ice for 125,000 years. We don't, in a sense, find a passage across the ice from Asia into North America until 10,000 BC. But by 10,000 BC, there had already been Black people down in Brazil since 100,000 BC. And in California, 130,000 BC. And so then black people were always here, but the first blacks to come here were Africans. And this confuses a lot of brothers because they don't want to be associated with black people because they are ashamed of being slaves. I'm not ashamed of being a slave. I'm proud of being a slave. And the reason I'm proud of being a slave is that we're the only slaves in the history of mankind. You know this. The only slaves in the history of mankind. You see, that today.
Time out. You said the first ones to come here was the African black man.
Right.
Now you're saying not the Aboriginal people. It was black men, or wasn't the Indians here first?
He's confused.
But the Red Indians, they don't show up in the archaeology until around 6,000 BC, 4,000 BC. Okay. You know, because and in fact they don't really reach the east coast of the east coast of North America until really, in a sense, until around the 1700s when they followed the buffalo.
All right.
Yeah. See, we always adopted the black Aboriginals adopted the red man, and the Red Indians, they respected black people until many of them began to marry white people. As they began to marry white people, began to marry white people, what happened is that many of the mixed red men became slave owners. You know, because they had those white parents, they decided that they was going to buy Africans and make them chattel slaves.
Going through thousands of years.
See, at the same time, many of these Red Indians were buying black Africans. They were also selling black Indians into slavery. See, a lot of people don't know that the first triangular trade was not bringing Africans from Africa to America. The first triangular trade was to sell black Aboriginal Indians into slavery in the Caribbean, especially Jamaica. And then before that, the English, you know, back around Queen Elizabeth time, you know, when first English people came to America, they used to kidnap a lot of black.
All right, so earlier today I was playing some videos, reference, you know, it's Staying with Two Clouds week. Two Clouds is a brother that lost his life a few years ago, standing for indigenous rights, Ramapo, native right in New Jersey. All right, so I was playing some of his videos, and in his video, him and the chief of the Ramapo were doing a demonstration, and the chief was talking about how the Ramapo and how the northeastern Indians were the first ones to be sold into slavery and sent to Barbados. Now, he was speaking specifically about specific groups, right? He didn't say such and such. No, he said the Ramapo. He spoke about his group. He spoke about the Pequot. Specific groups that this actually happened to. Not, see what I'm saying? I just kind of want to address that because that's a little misleading to say that it was the black Aboriginal Indians that was taken, when we know what groups of Indians were sold into slavery, and we know their historic background and their ethnicities. Right. So that's a bit of a fantasy stretch right there, but we'll get into that at some point.
Women, black Aboriginals, and put them in the brothels in Europe, you know.
Right.
So they've been in a sense, you know, engaged in using African people in slavery, because see, what happened is that there was an ethnogenesis in America, and this ethnogenesis resulted from the fact, in a sense, that the first slaves were Aboriginal black people. They were the first slaves. They were captured in war and sold into slavery. Then they brought in the black Irish. Then by 1660, they made Africans into chattel slaves. And this is what led, in a sense, to black people in a sense becoming in a sense becoming, in a sense, slaves in this land. In fact, there's a very interesting video, and this video shows this how Black people, in a sense, became, went through this process of transmutation.
I don't know if I asked you this question last week, but I'm gonna ask it again just to make sure. The Hebrew Israelites say that the religion of the Indians that they are talking about today, the Native American Indians, were Hebrew Israelite. That is their religion. In fact, that is one of the tribes that they go by. They go by the 12 tribes. The Native American Indians are one of their tribes. How much truth does that hold?
That's kind of in a sense it's
religion.
It's not really. It's okay. Let me explain to you. Before the Spanish arrived in the New World, there was already Moors trading up and down the coast, all the way from Brazil all the way up to Canada. They were selling tobacco. They were the first people to sell tobacco, and because of the fact they were selling tobacco, usually there was in a sense in just about every Aboriginal village someone who might be able to speak Arabic or Hebrew. Remember, Arabic and Hebrew, they're not really that different. In Arabic, when you say hello, you just say salam. In Hebrew, when you say hello, you say shalom. So right. There's not really that many differences. And so what you find, in a sense, is that because of the fact that when you look at the ancient Hebrew culture, this is what a lot of Black people, when they don't do research, when you look at the ancient Hebrew culture, the ancient Hebrew culture was nothing but African culture. The things they did, the way they cooked, the way the villages were organized, the confederacies, all that type of stuff. And so as a result, when these settlers, when they went to these Black villages, these Aboriginal Black villages, they found Black people, in a sense, doing the same thing that people did in ancient Israel. Because remember, the Hebrews came from where? Egypt. Egypt is an African country. So then naturally, the Hebrews, in a sense, would have practiced, in a sense, an African culture. The houses they built, the way they cooked, all that type of stuff. Remember the Egyptians, they didn't believe in eating pork and all that type of stuff either, And so a lot of this, in a sense, so what happened is that because of the fact that the Moors and Hebrews, because remember the Sephardic Jews, they mainly lived in Spain before they.
Yeah, but wouldn't these Black tribes, wouldn't they have been here? You said they was 130,000 years in California. So that would have been long before Abraham and all of that. Right? I'm just saying. It's 130,000 years in California, some shit like that. Some outrageous numbers, well before Abraham and all that was on the planet. Before they were spread into England and the Netherlands and all that, they mainly lived in Spain until 1492. In 1492, when the Spanish ran the Moors and the Jews out, when they ran the Moors and the Jews out of Spain, they went to the Netherlands, they went to British and all those other type of places. But see, and so then that's why you find they said, the Aboriginals were Hebrews, but that was just that they were practicing the same culture that people practiced in Africa. See, I don't hear you. Are you on mute?
Yeah, the Hebrews of history, the Israelites, are really Egyptians, ain't they? Tell the truth.
Yeah, they really Egypt. Remember, how could 12 people turn into hundreds of thousands of Egyptians?
Thank you. I want y'all Israelites out there to hear this, man.
But when they made the Exodus, remember when they made the Exodus, those would have been those would have been Hebrew Egyptians. Remember, if you notice when you read the Bible, when you read the so-called Bible or Torah, they always have the Egyptians and the Hebrews at each other's throats. But when you study history, you know it was the Hebrews always turned into the Egyptians to support them. Remember, one of the biggest books they wrote was out of 25th dynasty, was trying to keep the Assyrians from destroying Israel.
Turtle Gang Midwest, do you have any thoughts?
I'm just more curious in what he has to say further. This is all new to me. As far as the tobacco, that's real ancient. There was a big tobacco trade in the old days. I read about it in European books. One was called The Anthropology of Tobacco. I forget by who it was, but it was by the same dude that wrote the book connecting Africa to Asia, and pretty much describing the Afrasians. But in regards to what he has to say, this is all new to me. But in regards to the Israelites, I believe, it was out of Egypt, where the Fertile Crescent, not primarily, but a portion of it is. But do I believe we are connected to him? I don't know. That's something that I'm willing to listen to. The more thing, I'm still new to that also. So he just taught me something. So, I mean, this act.
I don't know how accurate it is.
So this is my thing. If he needs to tighten up what he's saying. He's left and he's right. That's where I'm getting messed up.
He just runs through the timelines. He's like zips through the timelines.
Yeah.
Without and just like throws the black Indian Aboriginal thing around. I like a few more. So if you're gonna say, I like to identify these tribes by who they were. I think that I'm not sure what Clyde Winter's thing is, bro. I just thought it was. I thought his thing's gonna throw a monkey wrench. Either way, he's gonna throw a monkey wrench in a lot of the beliefs that's going on around now.
So, what are you getting out of this within the first few minutes of the video? Like, what is your first thoughts in regards to what he's saying?
All right, so I think that Clyde Winters is talking about migrations, and he is talking about migrations that could have possibly started 130,000 years ago. But I think he's speaking about the people involved in these migrations as if they would have maintained a certain phenotype during the whole migration, which would have took anywhere from 80,000 to at least 30,000 years, 50,000 years. So I think when he talks about them being black tribes, black Negroes in America, whatever, I think because he slides through the timeline so fast, he negates all the
So I mean, we could say
all the what's it called? All the mutations that would have happened that would have started to make people look different than. See what I'm saying? So I think he paints a picture that these people, by the time they got to America, they still had a Negro phenotype.
Yeah.
That's a bit disingenuous.
So I mean, so we know he's familiar with the out of Africa theory, obviously, and what he's doing is he's saying, the Africans ended up in Australia, which are the Aboriginals of Australia. Mm-hmm. Well, we know they are dark complected, and we know if he was to utilize the out of Africa theory, then we can go to India. India, they have the same features as those in Australia. So I mean, we're all very well familiar with this.
Yeah, listen, I'm not this. I firmly believe that the further back in time you go, all the nations were much darker. You know what I'm saying? All of them. I have no.
Yeah, but what happens? What happens when people left Africa going into Asia? There was a split in Asia where people went south and people went north, and over time, the people that went north and the people that went south rejoined to certain extents, whether it was the Pacific Islands or Siberia. These people reconjoined going into the Americas. No, the people that went north over generations, due to climate and due to your diet, your phenotype will change, and also due with intermarriages with other tribes who've already been in the north. So yeah, your phenotypes change just like you see it today. The natives in Canada are lighter than those in the Southwest.
And even with your phenotype changing doesn't mean that your complexion changes. You can still maintain a dark complexion and your phenotype go through changes. So my whole thing is to not, like, you can't paint a picture that Africans left out of Africa and out of Africa theory, and by the time they got to America, it was still the same people. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't a 3.5 year journey.
Yeah,
it wasn't a generational journey.
Yeah, and he so this is my thing. He believes in the out of Africa theory, but he's attempting to debunk the Bering Strait. But in fact, as of 2019 to 2021, the Bering Strait was refactuated. So I'm not understanding. And on top of that, of course, we couldn't walk because of the ice sheets in certain times and points. So the secondary option would be maritime coastal sailing. And we already know about, the Pacific Island movementations and migrations north to south, island jumping, and also going into the Americas from there. They had food networking trades. Before white colonization or European colonization, they had fur trades. They had everything. Tobacco trade with China and Indonesia and all these other places the West Coast tribes had, that the Midwest tribes needed these things. So, over time, it doesn't make sense to me what he's projected is what I'm saying. I do believe in the Bering Strait theory. I also believe in the maritime coastal sailing theory.
Yeah.
But people don't know how to understand the two and two. And so if we want to say, okay, the Australians were Africans or they're the ancestors of Africans, then so be it. What does that make the Native Americans if the Native Americans have proven DNA relations to the Australians? That means we must be the ancestors of the Australians, right? So what does that go for Asia? I'm not saying we're the ancestors of all of Asia, but I know if my ancestors are telling me we came from Asia and we migrated into the Americas more than 30,000, sorry if I'm talking a lot, but if we migrated into the Americas more than 30,000 years, that predates almost all of Asian population. It predates it. So does that mean we could have left scattered remainings behind or lazies that stayed behind? We don't know. So this is where we get into topic and break down what we know. His perception is not far off, but his belief system is not correct. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We can further look into what he has to say, but I don't know, bro. I don't want to jump off topic. How do you feel? How do you feel about it necessarily, though?
I'm familiar with Clyde Winters. He's been around for a long time, and he's always kind of walked that line where a lot of great information, but it seems like he wants to interject what is clearly a belief as opposed to something that can be factuated. Like I said, things like these black Aboriginal tribes, that's a red flag to me. When, what were their names? Why can't we identify them via their names? See what I'm saying? That makes, like, stop hiding shit from me. I don't like when you take people's identities away, or whatever it may be that identifies them as a unique people. And I know that through all these migrations, through living in all these different lands, all these periods of time, and mixing with all these different, not just different tribes, but mixing with different species of human, that these people would have at many different times developed their own unique identities. And that's why we even call the Australians Australians. They might have left Africa as Africa, but by the time they got to where they got, they are now identified as those people, and they have a specific, unique identity.
So, TurtleGang, hear me out real quick. Let's talk about this from a Lenape perception for 2 seconds. I want to hear about it. So, he confirmed that the Australians ended up in the South Americas, etc. So, are these going to be the TurtleGang?
Would be the ancestors, or the predecessors, the elder, you know what I'm saying?
And we know the TurtleGang, the root of the Ilegwe and the Megwe, right?
Yes.
And we went to war with those people, right?
Absolutely.
And we won that war. We've lost many wars in between those two. So, But in regards to us winning, that's why we ended up in the Elfinies, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and all these places, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
From our perspective, from our history, from Lenape history, yeah.
So that's just it. You know, there's no question what tribe it was. When it comes to the Elgic speakers, the Algonquin speaking peoples, the Lenape are the grandfathers. The Shawnee documented it. Every nation documented it. The Iroquois know who we are. The people of Mexico know who we are from ancient times. There's nothing new. These people are addressing our history like this dude CLYDE. He comes from a young perception. It might not be his own. It could be his teachers. You know, their cult, whoever it may be. But it's highly interesting to listen to what he has to say, though, knowing that, you know, he's kicking 60, 70 years old. You know what I mean? This just goes to show. This goes to show how young the true knowledge is within these communities. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of learning.
And, you know, I don't think he's malicious. I don't think anything he does is malicious. I think he's a product of those who came before him. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned some things from him. You know what I mean? I also know when to, you know, put the gate up on that shit. Like, I don't need all that. Now he's starting to get a little, you know what I'm saying? But I think he's definitely added some perspective to things. And when people discover him, his teachings, I mean, you know, faith, you know, what we're dealing with today, I think he's gonna shake things up a little bit.
Israel.
He's closer to the truth than put it that way.
But again, this whole idea of a war between the Egyptians and Hebrews, that's all, you know, ish. It's all ish. It's all European. See, much of what we've been taught in relationship to Egyptian history is a lie.
When we talk about mutations, we're talking about adaptations that the human anatomy would make after living in certain geographical areas for 1,000 years. We're not talking about intermarrying a quick. No, we're talking about if you're living up in the Alps, how long does it take for your body to readjust and, you know what I'm saying, become adapted to the Alps as opposed to living in lowland. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Hey, TurtleGang. Let me run something to you quick. So we were talking about the Lenape defeated the TurtleGang. So the Lenape have a authentic history in regards to when they defeated a tribe or another clan. They primarily never kill the women or children most times. Sometimes it did happen according to history. But in regards to the women and children, they were adopted, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that alone would create the admixture among our people.
Yeah, that alone too. Yeah,
that's just one situation for an explanation right there. So we can keep at it, bro. I just wanted to speak on that quick because we were talking about both and both. So two go hand in hand. Yep.
I just turned my mic up. Sound a little better?
Yeah, you were kind of cutting in and out, but it sounds perfect now.
All right. So yeah, let's see if we can get some more meat off these bones and shit. Take the best part, leave the rest for you. You know what I mean? Leave the rest, take the best part.
But our researchers, instead of talking about the Egyptians didn't call themselves black, we should be reading those other Egyptian texts so we can present to the people what the Egyptians really thought about their culture, what the Egyptians really thought about our history.
Okay. All right. So, yes, your presentation is up. We ready? I would love to see it. And,
okay. Well, okay. I want to begin with this video. And this video, it kind of shows how we in a sense, how we became in a sense the people we are today through ethnogenesis.
I don't know what to talk about. Yeah, no point in placing shit in. Seeing some fucking sweet motherfuckers. I don't know what the fuck this is. Okay. Thank you.
we became the new people who we are today. But the new kings. And so then when these Black Irish came over here, chattel slaves, they were joined in a sense by the Black Irish. They
about all these Black Irish motherfuckers. Where are these Black Irish towns?
This video was done by this brother named Yoshimad, and it's based on my research. It's based on the fact that Black people went through an ethnogenesis, and they went through this ethnogenesis because the fact is that over here we had the Aboriginal Blacks who were the first chattel slaves. They were joined in a sense by the Black Irish. They sent over 300,000 Black Irish into chattel slavery and said, and Oliver Cromwell said that, nigga, you're gonna be a chattel slave for posterity. You're probably saying why I said nigga. That was the name, that was the Latin name of the Black Irish kings. They called them the nigger kings because that in Latin that means black. The new kings. And so then when these Black Irish came over here, these Black Irish, they came in a sense to spread. They came in here. They didn't come voluntarily. What happened when the Europeans sent them over here? They were the first chattel slaves, and see, after the Aboriginals. And so what happened is that Black people in the sense, because of our ethnogenesis, the mixture of Aboriginal Blacks, the mixture of the Black Irish beginning between 1634 and 1660, over two to 300,000 Black Irish were Catholics, were sold into chattel slavery in the 13 colonies. And then beginning in 1660, they began in a sense to bring in Africans as chattel slaves. And so what we find in a sense is that because of this ethnogenesis, we became the new people who we are today. But sadly, many Aboriginal Black people, as you know, Sarnetta, they don't want to accept the fact that they are Black. They don't want to accept the fact because they want to feel that somehow they got here. How could you get here? It was Ice Age. It was Ice Age. You couldn't have came from Asia. You couldn't live in the ice, so somebody had to come here. What? But can I get started now?
Yes, let's get it going.
Okay. Again, you can go to my Patreon. The slides are going to be in my Patreon. So join my Patreon. You can see this video and other videos on my YouTube channel. I got over 400 videos there on every aspect of Black history. You can order my books at Amazon.com. Let the researcher do the research. If you want to be a researcher, get my book Pathfinder, CLYDE Winners in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. In this book, I tell you how I became an Afrocentric researcher growing up in Chicago, meeting Ivan Van Sertima and some of the other brothers back in the day, and how we became who and what we are. And then if you want to do research, get my book, Afrocentric Researcher. It'll show you how to do qualitative and quantitative research. These are some of my books on ancient history. Check them out. I'm not going to discuss them. You guys can check them out later. I'm an FBA. FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Black equals brilliant. I bet you didn't even know that. When you look up Old English, you find that Black means in a sense shiny. Why? Because we're shining people, baby. But Black means in a sense brilliant. So when you're Black, it equals brilliant. So when you say B1, you're Black first. But also when you say B1, you're brilliant first. That's because we're Black and brilliant. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. We're always proud to be members of the brilliant Black race.
Teach. Go ahead, Doctor.
Black Aboriginal. My research goal is to present and provide an accurate.
Hold up. That man did he just say Black is brilliant? Black is bold. Hold on. Black is beautiful. I thought black is beautiful, right? That man said black is brilliant. You ever seen Coonskin? Black is a Cadillac. That's what that should sound like. Black is beautiful. Wow. Yeah. Hold up. Let me see something. No, let's get back into this. I was about to sidetrack into something.
Accurate and true account of the culture of the and history of the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans. There's been many books written about this, but deep down in a sense, they don't really hit it. James E. Ford and Africans and Native Americans gives us an account of the reality that there were already blacks in America when Columbus sailed to America. But he makes it appear that the African had established colonies in America, but he made it clear that these Africans lived in areas dominated by the red man or Mongoloid Indians. This is a lie. This is a lie. We adopted the red man. The red man didn't have no power. The red man wasn't the original 5 civilized tribes. Yes.
What?
Today they teach you that the red man is the original of the 5 civilized tribes.
You gotta show us something.
The 5 civilized tribes
show us something, bro.
Were black Indians.
Can you show us something?
It was true that there were many African colonies in the Americas when Columbus made his way to America.
Hold on.
But they failed to acknowledge.
Wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'll tell you something. Give me that money. All right, pardon me. I had to digress for a minute. Pardon me. I had to get on my bullshit. Because I'm kind of partial to Black is Beautiful. You know why I'm partial to Black is Beautiful? Let's see why. John Rock, abolitionist. John Stuart Rock, October 13th, 1825, December 3rd, 1866, was an American teacher, doctor, dentist, lawyer, and abolitionist, historically associated with coining the term Black is Beautiful, thought to have originated from a speech he made in 1858. However, historical records now indicate he never actually used the specific phrase on that day. Rock was one of the first African-American men to earn a medical degree. In addition, he was the first Black person to be admitted to the bar of the Supreme Court of the United States. John Stewart was born to John and Maria Willett Rock, free African-American parents, on October 13, 1825 in Salem, New Jersey. Yeah. So I'm a little partial to that because the term comes from someone who is of my lineage. That's That's one of my ancestors. You understand? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a little partial to the whole Black is Beautiful, the whole abolitionist movement, the Underground Railroad, all that, because we was involved in all of that, documented. So let's get on back to Mr. Clyde Winters. Wait a minute. That's so crazy to me. Generic. You just said generic. Hmm. So why aren't you? Oh, I'm confused. Wait, I rewind that. What did he just say? See? He's giving himself away. Hold up. Wait a minute. Did you hear what he just read? And why didn't he just comprehend that? Damn, hold up. Listen to what he just read. Wait a minute. I don't know what he said. What the fuck did he say? He said the book recorded the many black. Hold on. He gonna say it again. This nigga's all over this. I'm still confused.
Hey, Turtle Gang, you might have to unmute the secondary volume.
Nah, I just heard you. Which volume? You can't hear it?
No, not starting NETER's platform.
No, hold on. That's crazy. My shit's been acting up. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on with this?
Yes. You know, them brothers were the first to barbecue a steak, but it was a mastodon steak. This book not only mentions the names of these Aboriginal tribes, it also outlines the culture and history of these Aboriginal foundational Black Americans and their genetic background. In addition, the reader will discover the technology of the Aboriginal in North America, which indicates their unique technological achievements that match the civilization of Mesoamerica and Mexico. Yes. You know, they these people as Black. There's also a list of English Irish surnames adopted by The only way that we know that they were Black Indians is because the explorers and the colonists, when they described the physiology of these tribes, they described them as being copper colored or, in a sense, being Black, like Negroes. Negro was a generic term that Europeans used to refer to people in Africa. Very important to understand. They never applied Negro to other black people. They didn't call Black Europeans Negroes. They didn't call Aboriginals, in a sense, Negroes. They called Black Europeans, and they called, in a sense, Aboriginal Blacks. They identified them by their nationality or the tribe they belonged to.
As you should.
The author of this book, Black Indian Genealogy Research, Angela Walton Raji, provides a detailed discussion of many issues associated with Aboriginal Black or Black Indians. It records the life of many Black Indians among the 5 civilized tribes.
That's it. It records the life of many Black Indians amongst the 5 civilized tribes. It didn't say it records the life of the Black Indians who are the real 5. No, it says of the Black Indians who are, it's talking about it may be a whole lot of them, but in reference to the size of the tribe, it's a small portion. That's why they're fucking writing a book about it. Like, did you hear what he just said? It documents the life of the many, not the nation, of the many of who? Black Indians that are a part of the tribe, of which we know you can be a part of a tribe for multiple ways. You understand? Doesn't mean that that's the original tribe. That's him interjecting that shit. Like, he's literally reading it.
The role of mixed white Indian Native Americans in introducing chattel slavery among the
role of mixed white Now, is he saying mixed with white, or is he saying mixed Indians and white? See what I'm saying? What you talking about? I know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, you're talking about mixed Indians. You're trying to make these mixed Indians trying to make the exception to the rule the rule. It's ridiculous. You just read it.
The population and the resulting race prejudice of red and some black Indians against other darker skinned Aboriginal blacks and Negroes generally. It's very important to understand that many red.
That's the setup. It's the red and some black. Like this shit, that's the booby trap. So now, obviously, I'm one of the some blacks. This shit is booby trap. God damn.
Red men and sadly, many black Indians darker than me, darker than you. They're very racist because in a sense they want to hate the African, you see, or they want to hate you and you become a Negro or an African if you're darker than them. And so you assume that everybody had to be light skinned.
So now he's speaking for light skinned people? What's going on? Because I know this nigga ain't telling me he's copper tone. Wait a minute. Nigga, I know you're not speaking for light skinned people. And I know you're not telling me you copper tone. What world are we living in? See, I shouldn't have listened to him so much because now I'm starting to think this nigga's insane.
To be an Aboriginal, this is to write about Aboriginal black people was the colonists, the settlers. They had to describe these people as black. There's also a list of English Irish surnames adopted by Aboriginal black.
So that's the thing. Description is different than identity, right? When you say Cherokee, that's an identity. When you say Lenape, that's an identity, right? You could describe them in many ways, right? You could describe them as Lenape at this point, right? Coming traditional, you got mixed white, got mixed black, right? So they could be described, it depends on what group you run up on. Description, but that's not their identity. So your only traction lies in the description, because as soon as we get to the identity of who the people that you're describing are, now you don't match up. Now here comes the conspiracy and the red man and some of the black Indians was against you. And that's why I'm sitting here trying to redefine what the fuck copper is. We're just gonna redefine what the color copper is. Because we, for some reason, wanna use pennies to define what the fuck copper is. Regardless if they get oxidized or not. Now we've moved the goalpost and copper isn't copper, it's a penny.
Black, who are members of the 5 civilized tribes. They spread among these populations. Very important to understand is that because of the fact that the first slaves on the tobacco and indigo plantations were Aboriginal, black Aboriginals who had been captured during war with Europeans and forced to be tried.
I can't get past this. How can you be black, Aboriginal, and copper? How can you be copper tone and black at the same motherfucking time? Like, that's a hell of a tan. How can you pass the brown paper bag test and then not pass the brown paper bag test all in the same moment? How can you be light skinned and dark skinned all in the same moment? Because we're talking about the copper tone nations. We're not talking about a couple of copper tone people. We're talking about, they said everybody was copper tone. That's how you're going to use the reference. You can't say, oh, it's like 7 light-skinned motherfuckers and it's 100,000 dark-skinned motherfuckers. Therefore, those motherfuckers is the copper tones because they got some light-skinned people with them. Nope, that's not how that shit would have worked. So how are you the black aboriginals and the copper tone? I don't get this. Because I know growing up in my neighborhood, around all the black folks I grew up, there was actually, and it's always been an issue between the dark-skinned people and the light-skinned people. They can very much tell each other apart. I ain't never got hit with no black is night jokes. Nobody ever hit me with a black is night joke. Never once was I a victim of a, this nigga so black. Never. Now, light skin jokes, yeah, I got those. So when did all of a sudden we have this confusion in our heads now that copper tone and black are the same color? Damn. Breakdown. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. What do they call dark skin Lenape? Lenape. What do they call light skin Lenape? Lenape.
Be chattel slaves on these tobacco and indigo plantations. And see, then beginning, and this was beginning in the early, the early 1600s. But then around 1630, between 1630 and 1660, the British began, in a sense, to depopulate in a sense, the Ireland and Scotland of the black Catholic. And because in a sense they wanted to depopulate to get rid of the black Catholic, Oliver Cromwell, he killed over 600,000 black Irish and Scotsmen. 600,000 in just 10 years. And he sent over to the 13 colonies and the Caribbean another 300 black Irish, to be chattel slaves. And he said in Parliament of perpetuity. So you have to understand is that I'll talk about that in a little bit later. In the Nationality and Law Foundation of Black Americans, I discuss how the original black aboriginals were described as phenotypically Negro racially, but recognized as different from sub-Saharan Africans because their origin is members of ethnic groups and nations indigenous to America. Ethnic groups who, after going through an ethnogenesis, which I talked about earlier, and I showed you that video of black aboriginals, black Irish and sub-Saharan Africans mating on the slave plantations, black aboriginal villages and free color communities, they adopted the term freemen and eventually evolving the term into foundational black Americans to denote their ethnicity. It's very important to remember this is that.
Oh my God!
If you read a lot of American,
this nigga just read it all right there. It said black fucking Irish and sub-Saharan intermarried and created the foundational black Americans. So how the fuck are you the original Aboriginal, black Aboriginals? What the fuck is he talking about? What formula is that? Like, how you, like, was we baking a cake, nigga, or some lasagna? Because I thought we got ingredients to a fucking cake. I watched you whip up cake shit, put it in the oven, and this nigga just pulled out a fucking lasagna. I'm lost, bro. This shit is insane.
American history text, they talk about the black colored population. You assume, this is what you assume that these colored people were, in a sense, freed chattel slaves. No. When they're talking about free colored people, they're talking about black Aboriginal Indians who no longer had their land, who no longer owned their land and weren't on reservations. See? Don't get it twisted.
No, I'm not getting it twisted.
But again, unless you really do the research.
Oh, fuck, damn. Oh, damn.
And the Caribbean, another 300.
Wait, the nigga just told us, pardon me, pause it. He just told us that by the 1620s and 1640s, these black Irish were already free. He just told us that a little while ago. I remember it. Is anybody taking notes? I've been taking notes.
Explains the origin of the term white man. Yeah, yes. To signify the European population. Very important to understand that Caucasians were not always called a white man. Caucasians were just known as a French man, a Portuguese, an Italian. And in my book, The Nationality and Law Foundation of Black Americans, Original Descent. In my book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America, is the first book to discuss the history of the Aboriginal Black, a Negro people that inhabited North America for over 130,000 years. Yes, Black people have been in the Americas for over 130,000 years. We know that it was people in California eating mastodon steaks. Yes.
Yes, mastodon.
You know, them brothers were the first to barbecue a steak, but it was a mastodon steak. This book not only mentions the names of these Aboriginal tribes, it also outlines the culture and history of these Aboriginal Black Americans and their genetic background. In addition, the reader will discover the technology the Aboriginal people created in North America, which indicates their unique technological achievements that match the civilization of Mesoamerica and Mexico. Yes. You know, they always talk about the pyramids down and the stone pyramids down in Mexico and Central America. But after you read my book, you'll find that they also found many stone pyramids here in the United States. But what they did is that as they built their trains across the Midwest, remember the Midwest doesn't have a lot of stone. The Midwest was basically, in a sense, a fertile area that was just full of plants. So what they did is that they would tear down the stone pyramids built by these Black Indians, and they took the stone and they used that stone to construct buildings in cities, and they also used those stones from those stone pyramids that our ancestors built. They used those stones to build the railroads.
All right, time out for 1 minute, Dr. Clyde. I need my people to know, my moderators, I don't want y'all being disrespectful to our brother. If you disagree, you disagree. Don't come in here being disrespectful. I don't want to block you. I don't want to block you, man. So even if you disagree, it's all right. You can disagree, but don't be disrespectful in your disagreement. That's all I want to say. Go ahead, Dr. Clyde.
Thank you. I can't see the chat, so I don't know what's going on there. In this book, The Nationality and Law Foundation of Black Americans, I also discuss CAIDS, Culturally Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. I explain how the loss of a Black identity among some Black Americans causes a mental illness in which the person suffering from this ailment feels inferior to Caucasians and lose their positive self-esteem. It explains the origin of the term white man. Yes. To signify the European population. Very important to understand that Caucasians were not always called a white man. Caucasians were just known as a French man, a Portuguese, an Italian. And in my book, The Nationality and Law Foundation of Black Americans, I explain how we got this term, the white man. After outlining the spread of this pandemic, I explain how knowing your history can help you gain confidence in yourself and the self-respect. Yes, you have to respect yourself. You know, this weekend we are celebrating, in a sense, Memorial Day. But this celebration has no reality in history because it does recognize the true indigenous Americans who are Black, the copper-colored Aboriginal people of the United States. A lot of you guys don't know that the first colored infantry people to fight in the Civil War were mainly, in a sense, Black Aboriginals. Yes. These Black Aboriginals were the first Blacks to fight. That means that it was Black Indians who were the first to fight to free our people from slavery. Sadly, Aboriginal FBA, even if they lived on reservations, have lost.
Shut your crazy ass up. I respect you, Elder, but shut your crazy ass up. Listen to me. Right now, we in the cage right now. My cousin, June 5th, you gotta go sit down with this man. then they're ready to settle with my cousin. Why? Because they tore up our burial grounds. Tore up our burial grounds, right? They go back to our Lenape ancestors, but we also have Civil War veterans, right? So, yeah, John Rock, some of his relatives are buried there. In fact, the cemetery we're talking about is called John Rock Cemetery. But it's a different John Rock in the family. But I'm just letting you know all this shit tight. So, in that cemetery, which is Ruffin Cemetery, right? Got all types of videos up about it. We have Civil War veterans who are what? Actually mixed African and Lenape people. So the shit he's talking about is actually verifiable via my family. Like, I can sit up here and stand on this. I doubt he can, right? But them people in there ain't the original Indians. Them people in there are mixed descendants of Lenape. You understand? They're half black, half Lenape, half African, half Lenape. They got Irish in them, they got a bunch of things in them, right? But they come from Lenape communities, primarily Pinebrook, which is, you got Pinebrook, you got Reevytown, you understand? All this are primarily African and native homesteads and villages, and they come from a state. One of the locations being the Station Underground Railroad. This is all our family history. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He's taking parts of history and just using it to push his agenda, but he can't tie himself to the actual history he's talking about. That's why he's able to blur and just take different pieces and put them together to paint a picture for you, because he's taking bits and pieces from a bunch of different stories and molding them together to give you what you want, and that is, you the original black Indian and you owed everything and they stole everything from you. Sensationalism. It's a motherfucking mastodon burger.
Lost the memories of their culture and history, because those Aboriginal FBA who avoided enslavement tried to assimilate into Euro-American society by adopting Christianity. Because they adopted Christianity, they gave up their language. They gave up their history. These blacks lost knowledge of their history and tried to recapture their history by imitating, Native Americans or the Red Indians, instead of researching their history. As a result, they came to feel as stepchildren in the land they made.
How about this?
Because they wanted to minimize.
How about this? That's not what happened. How about this? You're lying. Let me show you something. This man's lying. He's sitting up there trying to tell other people's stories. I'm going to show you how much he's lying. He probably don't know he's lying. He probably thinks it's the truth. But I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you how much he's fucking lying. Keep telling you that somebody brainwashed niggas and we forgot who the fuck we were. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. You see this? I don't know if you can see what's in there. I'm not gonna pull it out. But that's not even what I came to show you. If you know what you're looking at, you know what you're looking at. And I'm gonna show you what I'm really trying to show you. Because they keep telling y'all this wild, crazy shit. These motherfuckers, this. And we gotta get our history from the white man, and the white man just tell us everything, and they made a deal and they running behind motherfuckers, this and that. This is some shit my aunt hit me with last time I seen her. She's like, oh, you need to take this. You need to take this. You need to take this. Just some old newspaper clippings. You need to take this. You need to have this. Right? So my aunt hit me with it. Right? All the road system. It's the old shit, right? But this not even what I'm just gonna show you. Now, Mr. Clyde Winter say we don't know, remember nothing, and we gotta go to everybody else. Let me show you this. You see what this is? This is actual laminated sheets from our family newspaper. These are the actual newspapers, the laminated. See that? It's called the Echo, right? Who's the Echo? The Echo is my third great grandmother, right? Her name translates into Echo. So we named the newspaper after my great great grandfather named the newspaper after her. All right? This is a national newspaper. We cover news from all over the country. Not the white man's news. These were people of color, people of African and Native ancestry who had our own shit and kept our own records. You can't tell a motherfucker they forgot and they don't know who the fuck they are when we were the ones keeping the records. We the fucking griots. We the fucking keepers of the flame, nigga. Who else but us? We the ones who stayed. We the ones that got the direct shit from the top, you understand? Who the fuck else gonna do this but the ones that been here? All these niggas talking shit they can't show. This is what my family did. This is the Rocks newspaper. It should say Red Bank. What was y'all talking about? It's an Echo. That's my people. That's my family. This is what we did. We kept the records. We kept the fire burning. My people. What are we talking about? So Clyde Winters, unless you can show shit like this, you can't speak for those families. You can't say you a foundational family and you ain't got shit like this. This is what foundational families have to show for. We got burial grounds we fighting over. This is what foundational families have to show for. Actual historical shit. And I could keep doing this on and keep going. And keep going and keep going. I could keep going. Because we really who we say we are. And we not jacking somebody else's story to fucking create some false narrative. No, you cannot say that these so-called Indians that keep telling y'all wrong are doing it because somebody, and we've been dissing, we the ones still fighting. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Them newspapers is from the 1800s all the way up to the early 1900s. Almost 100 years we had that newspaper running, and it was a printing press before that and remained a printing press after the newspaper shut down. So we still was into serving the people. Serving, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, it's official, bro. I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. I don't know what the fuck this man talking about. All these people talking about they foundational Black Americans. Show me your people. I can show you my people in African American history books doing remarkable shit. I can show you my people in the Native American books doing remarkable shit. Y'all say y'all foundational Black Americans, where your newspapers? And that's just the Rocks newspapers. The Richardsons had newspapers too. Sandhill had a newspaper too. That's what independent communities did. That's how you can show and prove you come from one of these old communities. Y'all had your own shit, had your own newspapers, had your own infrastructures. This is what tribes did. This is what people who come from their own communities did. This is called something that come from a time when we lived in what we call unincorporated communities. We wasn't even a part of the United States. That's where this shit is at. Y'all looking for the records in the United States records. If you really them people, you're gonna have your own shit. And you can say, look, we got our shit and this is what y'all shit say. If you ain't got your shit, how the fuck you gonna tell them that they shit is wrong? And they the only ones with all the records regarding your family. If you them foundational people, you got this shit. And if you connected to them foundational people, somebody you know gonna have this shit. You're gonna connect back to a community, and somebody in the community, one family is gonna be the ones that was in charge of this. Another family gonna be the ones We know who the ones that was the builders. We know the ones who built the structures when we needed things built. We know what families it was. This is what family built the homes. These are the families that handled the information. Like we understood all those things. We all had a role to play in our community. I come from that. That's why I have shit like this. And Clyde Winters is talking crazy.
Imitate. A nomadic tradition that had nothing to do with the history and culture of the copper-colored Aboriginal FBA. Because the Aboriginal FBA, they were sedentary. They lived in houses. They lived in houses built of wood. They didn't live in teepees. A teepee was a nomadic tent that the red man used to settle in different places. We lived in houses. Yes, we lived in houses. We lived in houses surrounded by a palisade, in a sense, because the fact is that we had a different culture. We had a culture not of moving from place to place, but staying in one place. You say the Paleo-Americans were phenotypically African, Melanesian, or...
See, that's misleading too. Plains Indians, Plains groups that moved around for a lot of different reasons, not just because they were nomadic, for safety, for different reasons. They was able to break, they had teepees. Them shits was great giant structures though. You wouldn't sit up here and talk crazy about the Arabs that live out there and they build these giant ass tents and they be living all lavishly. Like, they ain't no different. Now the tribes out here on the east, yeah, we had permanent structures, right? We had multiple places we would live at different times of the season. But that shit ain't nothing to be trying to act like you greater than another group of people. Like that's just having to deal with your environment. We didn't live in no houses. What the fuck is he talking about? Like live in a house, like acting like it is now, like you go knock on your boy's house. No, come on, man. Yeah, wigwams, we had long houses. Some groups had different, like, man, what did your people have, bro? Speak on what your people had. My people had wigwams. Speak on what your people had. Stop being so, like, that shit bothers me, yo. Generic, general shit.
Australians. Dr. Nida Guedan says that man was in Brazil 100,000 years ago. As you can see in this picture of Nida Guedan, and you can see in a sense, you know, right next to her, some of these various Paleo-Americans. These Paleo-Americans, what forensic archaeologists do is that they find a skull, and then when they find a skull, they're able to reconstruct the face of those people, in a sense, who were represented by that skull. And so here's some examples of many of the skeletons that they found: Naia, Puiuna, and Luzia, you know, and that these people are from Mexico and Brazil, but these are, in a sense, some of the Paleo-Americans, the first Americans. See, many people don't know that. Many people, in a sense, they say, the red man had to be first.
That woman don't look like you.
The red man doesn't show up on the scene until 6,000 BC. And they don't show up until 124,000 years after black people had already. Indians already been living.
Why does Native American DNA connect to that woman's genetics? Why does this very woman's DNA connect to Native American? Like, and what is typically African about this phenotype? Like, what are we talking about? Like, when did this become what the average African American looks like? When did that become the template for African Americans? Like, I'm not sure. I don't ever remember this being the template. I don't ever remember Curly Neal at best being the template for African Americans. And that's what you're trying to, that's what, and this nigga's light skin. So how is all these, I'm not going to get into that. Whenever y'all say copper, you're talking skin color. You're jumping right into the skin color. So if we're going to jump into the skin color, I don't know how you dark skin are just claiming that shit. I'm lost. I'm lost. They look like natives to me. They look Asian to me. I don't know what y'all looking at. I see the Asian in them. Like I seen the Asian in my mother. Look Asian to me. I grew up staring at my mother going, why does this woman look Asian? Yeah, I know what the fuck I'm looking at. I don't know what the fuck these people talking about.
You have to study your history. You have to know your history. These are some of the various Paleo-Americans that have been identified by forensic anthropologists as Negro or Black.
Real?
We got Naya from Mexico, Apahuna from Brazil, Luzia from Brazil, Kennewick man. He's also from I think South Dakota, North Dakota, one of those places up there. But these are, in a sense, the various Paleo-Americans. And see, the Paleo-Americans are not identified as Red Indians. They're identified as Africans or Melanesians and Blacks like that. As a result, when Columbus came to the Americas, he called the people of the New World Indians because the Caribbean Indians were Black, like the people of South India. Yes, yes, yes. Here you can see some of the British talking to the Caribbean Indians.
Yes.
These were the first Indians that the Spanish met, and they lived in the Caribbean. Look at them. They look like you. They look like me. They look like us. See, those aren't red men.
Those ain't red men.
See, we call the Black Indians Aboriginal because they have been here for over 100,000 years. The first culture in North America was the Lutheran culture, which came from Africa to America at least 20,000 years ago. When Europeans settled North America, they met the Black Indians, which they call the 5 civilized tribes. These Black people were sedentary farmers who lived in wooden houses, usually built on mounds. Okay, look on the right-hand side. This is one of the palisades in which the Black Aboriginals, this is like a Black Aboriginal, compound or a small village. As you can see, they lived in wooden houses. They didn't live in teepees. They usually surrounded their villages with a palisade or a wall that they could use for protection if they were attacked by the people.
Which groups did?
Often they would even build their villages on mounds, but it's very important you understand that there was a difference between the Red Indians and the Aboriginal Black Indians. The Aboriginal Black Indians, they stayed in one place, so they built permanent dwellings.
What were their names?
The Red Indians,
go ahead and say it.
They were in a sense nomadic.
Go ahead and
they
say
were
what
hunters
their names
and gatherers. They didn't know how to grow crops. And so then therefore, in a sense, if they didn't know how to grow crops, they moved from place to place. They lived in teepees.
Do we have to show
Aboriginal Black people, they lived in settled villages. The Mongoloid Indians came from Mexico. These people were nomads. They followed the herds of buffalo to the Midwest, South, and Eastern shores. Black Indians adopted these hunter-gatherer Native Americans. Beginning with Benjamin Franklin, Europeans gave the Mongoloid Indians our Indian heritage. Yes. You may not believe this.
No, I don't.
I know you've only heard about the buffaloes that used to be on the Old West with the Arapahoes and all that, but no. When the colonists settled Jamestown in Virginia, there were buffaloes there. Yes,
nobody ever
they killed them all off, and used them for food. But this is just to show you the extent of the buffaloes that were spread all the way from the Old West to the Eastern Shore. And it was the Red Indians who followed the buffalo, and that's how they came in contact with the.
This motherfucker is on some extra juvenile shit. This nigga, damn. This is damn near embarrassing. So basically, what you're saying is that the Red Indian and copper is reddish with a yellow tint. So you're saying the Red Indians, who are actually the copper tone, who you're claiming are the Black Indians, was following the buffalo around. Because what he doesn't realize is You're calling them red because copper is light red. Does he understand that? Does he understand that copper is a light reddish with a yellow tint? That's real copper. Now, what these black ass oxidized pennies are is dirty. It's like these fucking Moors. They're all fucking dirty. All right? They're not an atypical penny. So that's not a copper penny. Pennies aren't even made of fucking copper anymore. They're made of mixtures. That's why they fucking oxidize the way they do. This man's insane. You are not copper tone, nor do you look like any of them damn people that you just showed. These people that you call red Indians actually have fucking names, identities that you could be fucking talking about, and then we could go look at each one of their history and watch it all come back and watch all the shit that you're saying sit in that forest and not bear any fruit.
The black Indians that lived on the in North America on the eastern coast. This is what Benjamin Franklin, he wrote this in 1751.
I gotta keep pausing these niggas.
The number of purely white people in the world is...
Why do all these people have to use the East Coast Indians to validate their story, but they don't talk to the East Coast Indians? And then when they do, they say that we're agents trying to stop them from using our story to validate their bullshit. Why is this man talking to SANDHILL? Matter of fact, SANDHILL, you live in New York. Why are you not talking to the Shinnecock? Why are you not talking to the Uncle Chuck? The Urban Indian Collective and many other Indian houses are located all in New York City. Why are you getting this information? I mean, if we sincere, why you ain't never been to a powwow? It's a bunch of them all throughout New York. Randall's Island, why you never pulled up on Randall's Island? That shit's in Harlem. I'll tell you, I know what it is. I've been watching it for years. The circus.
It's proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia chiefly tawny. America exclusive of the newcomers wholly so. And in Europe, I'll repeat, and in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion. As are the Germans also. Swarthy means black. Yes, swarthy means black. The Saxons only accepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. You heard what he said? He's writing in 1751. He said that most of the Germans, you know, British, not British, but Germans, Italians, Spanish, were mainly black. He said, what happened to these niggas running the world? I'll tell you what happened to these niggas running the world. They had a 30-year war. They had a 30-year war. And over a 30-year period, the black Catholics and the black Protestants fought each other. And at the end of that war, the Caucasians were able to take over the world because black people were fighting each other. What? We got that one bad habit. It's hard for us to stick together. It's hard for us, in a sense, to want to understand is that you're in strength, no matter what nationality you are. See, that's what, if you notice, Europeans, I don't care what nationality, may they be British, French, Spanish, they all come together when it's time to fight black people, you see? But black people don't understand how to unify. That's how black people, they gave away Africa. Why? Because Africans were selling other Africans as slaves. Aboriginal black people gave America away. Why? Because they were selling black Aboriginals as slaves to the European. That's why I always say B1, black first, B1. brilliant first.
How
We're black
gonna
and
be
brilliant.
black first?
And the only way that we can have real unity is understand that black has to come first.
How the fuck?
You know, I'll continue. You know, Benjamin Franklin continue. I could wish their numbers were increased. And while we are, as I may call it, guarding our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Yes, 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 yes.
No,
yes.
No.
He wanted to make America white. This is what the MAGA people and the other people want to continue to do. But that was Benjamin Franklin's goal, to make America white.
Yeah.
He felt that since the best way to make America white was what? To get a union between the red man and the white man. You didn't know that, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, we did know
that. Was the first objective of Benjamin Franklin, was to unify and to help people in America become white faster. And he felt that if white people made it with the Indians, the red man, that they could keep America white again. They were afraid that those black Europeans who came over here, and they were afraid that those black Aboriginals would continue to rule this country like they were ruling in Britain. You don't understand that, dude.
All right. So what really they were afraid of were the Native Americans who were having their land stolen and being oppressed by white Europeans, and Africans who had been brought over as slaves by these Europeans. They didn't want those two getting together. That's why fucking Walter Plecker lost his shit, lost his fucking mind, because he want mixed Indians, black people marrying white people. See, they didn't mind if Indians married white people because they could get some type of inheritance, right? They didn't like when black people were doing it. They didn't like the fact that these two oppressed people would stand together. And that's what the fuck they were scared of. And you know, fucking white people get together with the Indians. The Indians don't like the white people. I don't know if y'all know that. They was still fighting them motherfuckers in the 70s. I don't know if y'all know that. Shit, like they was still busting guns at these niggas. Right? Black Panthers, all that whole time Black Panthers was getting busy, so was these Indians. Y'all ever heard of the Rainbow Coalition? That's the type of shit they don't want to happen. All right? So all this shit they trying to paint, he's trying to paint a negative picture of a certain group of Indians, while at the same time painting an even darker picture of another group of Indians, so people who are not Indians can step in and assume that identity. And that's just diabolical. That's just diabolical.
I do. You don't understand that a lot of those people that you see on the internet, and they show a picture of some prince or somebody running the treasury in Britain, they show you the picture of a white person. But when you really read the description of these people, they were black, cold black. Some of them darker than me, darker than Sa.
Oh,
yes, darker than Sa NETER. See, because the fact is, this is that they understood. That's why Benjamin Franklin was telling you these people were black. Then you say, okay, if they were black, what happened? What happened is that over time, they began, in a sense, to go and get prostitutes. The main prostitutes that they could find were the Ukrainian prostitutes. And the Ukrainian women, what they did, in a sense, is that the Ukrainian women were the first slaves. The Ottoman Turks would go into Ukraine, they would kidnap those Ukrainian women, and they would sell them as slaves. And then many of the blacks in Europe began to purchase those slaves.
Women.
And in fact, there's an interesting video on race where they talk about that the Ukrainian woman was thought to be the ideal white woman, a prostitute. That was their ideal white woman, a prostitute. See, but this is what you understand. This is what you learn. This is what you know when you study. Let the research baby. Originally, black Aboriginals and red Native Americans respected one another. Over time, due to trade with Europeans, Indians mated with the Europeans. Yes, as Indians mated with the Europeans, they forgot that there was any idea, in a sense. The red Indians said, damn, remember I told you it was Benjamin Franklin, he plotted this plot. They made the red man the first tethers. A lot of people get mad when Tariq Nasheed is talking about tethers and how they bring people to divide or separate the FBA from the Caucasian. Well, the first people that they use to separate, you know, the FBA or Black Americans from Caucasian Americans were the red man, you see. And originally, Black Aboriginals and red Native Americans, they respected one another. But over time, things changed. These mixed blood red Indians began to purchase enslaved Africans to cultivate crops on their farms and plantations. Remember, the red Indians did not know how to farm. The red Indians were hunters and gatherers. They were hunters and gatherers. And so the red Indians, in a sense, when they wanted to build farms, when they wanted to build plantations, they started buying African, sub-Saharan African, and enslaved them, you see. The rise of chattel slavery among the red man led to these red Indians looking down, not only on African descendant people, but also the Black Aboriginals. Yes, yes, yes. When these looked, let me explain to you. When these red Indians, when they looked in the mirror, they didn't see a red man. When they looked in the mirror, they saw a blonde white man. See, that's why it was so easy for the whites in Oklahoma to take over many of the Aboriginal towns, you know, the Native American towns, the Cherokee, you know, the leader of the Cherokee, leader of the Choctaw, all these people in Oklahoma are white. Why? Because see, instead of the red man understanding his uniqueness, he found it better that I mix with the white man and I'm white too. So when he looked in the mirror, he didn't see a red man, he saw a white man. He saw a blonde white man. He saw a white man, and he was that white man. And so what happened is that he became treacherous. In my book, We Are Not Just Africans, the Black Native Americans, I talk about the relationship between many of the red Indians and the Black Indians and the sub-Saharan Africans. In this book, I give a detailed account of their interactions. You see, you will learn, in a sense, how Black people from Africa and the Native Americans and Black Aboriginals interacted with one another, you see. Alphonse de Quatreges claimed that the Black tribes of Latin America include the Chaco, the Manabis, the Auroras, the Guarani, the Chalos, the Yamasi, and the Citadel Chantel, in addition to numerous ethnic groups along the Orinoco River in Venezuela and the Isthmus of Darien. The major Native American confederation was made up of Black and Mongoloid Native Americans. These confederations include the Iroquois, Muskogean, and Algonquin. See, a lot of people think that the Iroquois, Muskogean, and Algonquin were the names of Indian tribes. No, these were not the names of Indian tribes. These were the names of confederations, because as in Africa, the most stable, you know, governmental system for Black people is to be organized into a confederacy, like ancient Mali or Ghana. And the Iroquois.
So, Iroquois is a confederacy. Algonquin is a language. It's fucking wrong. It's fucking wrong. You don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just saying shit because it sounds good, rapping around in his fucking brain. Skogie is a language group. Just because people speak the same language don't mean they're in a confederacy together. No, that's a bit of a reach. Shows you don't know what he's talking about.
Iroquois, Muskogean, and Algonquin, they were like a confederation. It was a loose association of Black Indians originally, and then they elect some of the adopted red men. And see, the other problem is this:
ever.
Granted, as I told you before, the red Indians were adopted by the Black Indians. Because they were adopted by the Black Indians, they were able, in a sense, to use their names. They were able to call themselves Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, and other names of the.
And why they don't use the real name? Why you don't use none of the real names? Huh? Sir? Can you tell me? Can you answer any of these questions, sir? Yeah, why didn't you say Haudenosaunee? Why didn't you say that? Why do you say Algonquin? Why do you speak of the many different Algonquin nations? Right? What are we talking about, Mr. Clyde Winters? Are you the granddaddy godfather of all the fucking histories of the fucking world? You a fucking hyper polyglot ass nigga? How many languages do you speak? Because you're just trying to weave this whole shit together like matter of fact. Now, why do you think you could speak for all these nations? Who are you? I'll be around and I pay attention. And even just that I'll be around, I pay attention. Like I could be in the street. I could be in the worst neighborhood. And I quickly find out my lane, who not to fucking speak to, and definitely who not to speak for. I can understand that shit in the street. I can understand that shit in the fucking work world. Motherfucker come in, I just got hired. Motherfucker come in and ask a question to me that is above my fucking pay scale. I'ma know, man, you gotta go talk to the fucking whoever. I'm not going to answer that. Fucking understand that shit. Easy. Right? How the fuck you don't understand that you ain't got no business speaking on other motherfuckers, let alone shit that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? I don't give a fuck how much you say I got the research and I did the research. This shit is fucking, you're trying to sit up here and say that these tribes were originally black based on a migration that took place starting 130,000 years ago. And your proof is some mastodon burgers in California, some chicken, some mastodon and waffles. What the fuck is we talking about in California? That's your fucking proof. And then you keep bugging your eyes out and jumping up in the camera. This nigga's insane. This is definitely, I don't take none of this shit serious. This motherfucker, boy. Let me get back to this.
Of the 5 civilized tribes, you see. But they were not the original 5 civilized tribes, see. The original 5 civilized tribes were black people. But again, they wanted to help people. You know, when Baron Lahontan's, in his book, The New Voyages to North America, edited by Reuben Gold Thrice, you know, he talks about it in a...
Why do we always focus on the 5 civilized tribes? Right? Of which they'll talk shit about the Northeast. Check it out. The 5 civilized tribes are not from the Northeast. You know that, right? The same people that say the Northeast is on some fuck shit all claim the 5 civilized tribes, who are considered the 5 civilized tribes because they made an agreement with the United States government. They agreed with the fuckery. So rather than these motherfuckers looking inward at themselves, they want to look at some motherfuckers who ain't the 5 civilized and accuse them of doing shit that the 5 civilized tribes did while they claim the 5 civilized tribes. There'd just be more confusion and fuckery to me. So I don't know who the fuck you claim, Clyde Winters, but you can't throw shade at the Northeast and keep talking about the 5 civilized tribes or the original tribes. Those are the original tribes that made agreements. What are you talking about? What is it you're talking about? like some of this stuff is definitely over your head. And a few years ago, I would have tried to explain this shit to you, but at this point, I'm not explaining none of that shit. I'm just letting you know, motherfucker, you are 100% wrong. I'm so confident in that. I am so confident in how wrong you are. It is ridiculous. Oh. The more I listen to you motherfuckers, the more confident I get. I'm like, oh, these niggas don't know what the fuck they talking about. Niggas don't know shit. It's worse every day. Y'all keep opening your mouths. Let's listen to Mr. Clyde, Get It Wrong, Winters.
In a sense, the copper-colored people, and this is what he said about the Aboriginal people. I call the black or Aboriginal. I call the black Indians Aboriginals. I refer, in a sense, to the red Indians as Native Americans. But I'm going to read his quote. All the savages are of the sanguine constitution, inclining to an olive color. And generally speaking, they have good faces and proper persons. It's a great rarity to find any among them that are lame, hunchbacked, one-eyed, blind, or dumb. Their eyes are large and black, as well as their hair. Their teeth are white like ivory, and the breath that springs from their mouth in expiration is as pure as the air that they suck in inspiration. Notwithstanding, they eat no bread, which shows that we are mistaken in Europe in fancying that the eating of meat without bread makes one's breath stink. But again, this is what they call a copper-colored person. A copper-colored person.
Nigga, they said he was olive.
They look like you. No, they look like me.
You said that's like us. You said olive, nigga. Olives are fucking light.
You know, this is from one of their encyclopedias back in the day.
All you're doing is
so reading. Then they were talking about the races in America. And they said, what is the third race? And what are the characteristics? Then at 569, the American or Indian race, found only in America, is of a deep copper color, straight black hair, high cheekbones, eyes black and sunken, large faces, and robust bodies. This race comprises all the American Indians, except the Esquimaux, who belong to the Asiatic race, Eskimos. What is the fourth race? What is the fourth race, and what are its characteristics? The African or Negro race. They have a jet black skin, low narrow foreheads, black woolly hair, thick lips, and long heels. Look at those pictures. We got an American at the top, and we got a Negro at the bottom. What the hell is this? Look at them. Look at them. The only difference between that American and that so-called Negro is one wearing a feather and one not. Get out.
This nigga is.
See? But this is it. The European, he uses pictures for deception. He uses pictures to fool us. He uses pictures, in a sense, to keep us going down a road of darkness, a road of
nigga.
See? That's why you had to do the research. That's why you had to read and you had to study yourself. The Aboriginal Foundation of Black Americans, yes. Quattro Oglethorpe returned to England in June 1734 with goodwill ambassadors in the persons of Yamakra.
So you got three choices. You got three choices. The end goal is to find out who the fuck these people are. You could look at a picture of these people. You could read what somebody said about them. Or you could listen to what they say about themselves. Are you going to pick the picture, what somebody wrote about them, or what they said about themselves? Me, I'm going to pick what they said about themselves. So I don't want to read about no fucking pictures. I don't want to read about no accounts. Who the fuck are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about the Pequot? Okay, let's go talk to the fucking Pequot. And they'll tell you exactly who the fuck they were, who they are, where they came from, and everything. Don't nobody need you, sir. With all due respect, Clyde Winters, Nobody needs you to fill in the fucking blanks because they're not blanks. They're only blanks to you because you're not a part of that community. I think all this research is going to people's heads. Why would you not allow these people to define themselves? Why are you calling these anonymous groups that you have yet to name outside of the 5 civilized tribes, why are you calling them Negroes? And if you know the history of the 5 civilized tribes, why would you even start with them? Because they're definitely not, like, are they first contact tribes? What made them the 5 civilized tribes? I'm talking about slavery. What tribes engaged in slavery? 5 civilized tribes. So I don't know how you can claim the 5 civilized tribes, but at the same time condemn them by saying somebody took them over. How the fuck did Benjamin Franklin empower these tribes to first enslave all the black people in the tribe? I'm confused. Y'all be having me confused. And shit. I'm not gonna make it through this shit. No, we ain't even halfway through this shit.
Chief Toma Chichi and Sennaoki, his wife, their nephew, Tuna Howie. Look over here. You can see look over there. Look on the right-hand side. You can see in a sense the Tamakra.
Yeah, those are not Negroes.
But those are black people.
No, they're not. Those are fucking Native
between the native population
that painting
and the new
is huge. You can go to DC
and
watch and look at that painting. That painting is huge.
Left contributed much to the establishment of peaceful relations between the two groups and to the ultimate success of Georgia. His nephew, Tuna Howie, is seated on the right in the engraving circa 1734-1735. I know that you've heard they teach you in school. What do they teach you in school? They teach you in school that the governmental system of the United States is based upon the Iroquois and Muskogean system of governments. That means that they've been fashioning their government off of the black Indians because they didn't know how to have a government in which everybody could contribute, in which there was a joint government, in which the rude would listen to the people who were, in a sense, being rude. Some of the black Native American tribes were the Blackfeet, Cree, Choctaw, Castanian, Kashida, the Napi, Mandan, Manican, Mendika, Nanaco, Narragansett, Nawesi, Neantes, Acmes, Potawatomi, Piqua, Ramapo, Seneca, Seminoles,
he just said Ramapo,
Tomacro, the Soyaha, the Tuscarado, the Wanapak,
you're a
the
fucking
Washita,
liar.
the Yamasi, the Yamakro, and the Yuchi. These are just some of the black people, and what they did is that they grew to
very familiar with.
What was the three sisters? Maize, beans, and squash. When I was growing up in Chicago, my father every summer he would rent some land out in the suburbs, and he would plant in a sense a crop out there. He would plant in a sense corn. That's maize, corn, beans, and squash. But he would also like to grow tomatoes and also peppers. And my mother, she would can that stuff. Put some dumplings in with the tomatoes, and then we would be eating a lot of that stuff throughout the year. That she would can, and so my father, he kept that relationship. That Aboriginal black people had with the land. My father also taught me how to clean squirrels and rabbits, and I know how to clean them now. And he taught us how to take the wild taste out and all that type of stuff. Yes, I eat squirrels. Yes, I eat rabbits. My mother, she wouldn't cook us raccoons because she said raccoons, they dead people. But yes, if you didn't know, squirrel and rabbit taste like chicken. The basic organizing principle.
So, why would he say the Ramapo were a black tribe. Why would he say the Nanticoke? Why? Why would Clyde Winters go out on such a ledge to say that the Ramapo and the Nanticoke are an ancient Aboriginal black tribe? How does he think he could possibly get away with that when these people actually exist? New Mosby, Rich, Primo in the building. You heard that? Clyde Winters said that the Nanticoke and the Ramapo are Aboriginal black tribes. That's what he said. Like them people, like our families, don't know their own fucking history. Like the Ramapo are our families, literally. Like literally. Whole half of our family are Ramapos. Literally. This is not like, yeah, that's my cousin. No, these niggas is really my cousins. And we know how they Ramapos. We know what line of Ramapos. There's multiple lines of Ramapos that go through my family. Nigga, we know our fucking history. And you're gonna sit up here and say what the fuck you said? You gonna say the Nanticoke? Let me show y'all something. Fucking ridiculous. This shit, man. Remember what I told y'all earlier? I said earlier about unincorporated towns. Remember I said that. Goulstown is an unincorporated community and census-designated place in Cumberland County in the U.S. state of New Jersey. It is in the northwestern part of the county in the northeast part of Fairfield Township, and it is bordered to the west by the city of Bridgeton. The county seat, New Jersey Route 49, runs through the community, leading east 8 miles, 13 kilometers to Millville, and west to Bridgeton, 19 miles. History. Monroe Work Catalog. I cataloged it among Negro communities in his Negro Yearbook series. Goulstown was first listed as a CDP prior to the 2020 census. Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church, organized in 1818, current building constructed in 1860, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Right, so this is a historical place. Goulstown, a very remarkable settlement, ancient date, studies of some 30 examples of the simple life, together with sketches of early colonial history of Cumberland County in southern New Jersey and some early genealogical records originally published in some for in 1913 and published in 1923. Now the thing about Goulstown is is considered one of the first free black towns, right? Unincorporated. Unincorporated community. Let's see what else we got. So I want you to be able to see it. It was founded about 1700 by Benjamin Gould upon his marriage to Anne, a Finn. He was the youngest of 5 children of Elizabeth Fenwick Adams and a man of color named Gould. Elizabeth Adams was the granddaughter of John Fenwick, proprietor of Salem County. Other mulattoes soon settled there. So, Goulstown was a town found by this man, right? Who married a woman who was Finnish, right? Goes down in history as one being possibly one of the oldest free mulatto or black towns, definitely in New Jersey. Well, Chief Gould of the Nanticoke, right? He's not the current chief, but he's the former chief of the Nanticoke. That's his family. So I don't know why he would sit up here and talk about the Nanticoke like it ain't Nanticoke around, like their history ain't documented, like families from the Nanticoke's history ain't documented. Like, what is Clyde Winters talking about? Like, this is why I couldn't have Clyde. If I had Clyde on, it would be just to, what, antagonize him, tell him he's wrong to his face. Why would I do that to that man? That's just crazy. He's sitting here lying. Like, you're literally lying. You can't possibly believe that to be fact. But you're using your influence. You see what he said yesterday? Yeah, thanks, NETER. Yeah, them cash apps. Yeah, thank you, man. That cash app. Ooh, I'll get up here and say some more of this crazy shit if y'all keep hitting me with the cash app. No. There's 6 nations, and the Nanticoke are not a part of that shit. Nanticoke are not fucking Iroquois people. No. This is not it. No, they don't. Who teaches you that? They teach you they were made up of copper tone people. What the fuck are you talking about? You see, that's the same shit. So the fucking nigga calls himself a legendary top cat, calls me white because I'm triracial, and at the same time he claims Chief Osceola, who is triracial. But what I'm finding is they call the light-skinned people white, so the brown-skinned people can be copper tone. So whenever they say the white Indians, they're really talking about the copper tone Indians. But because they want to steal their identity, they have to play musical chairs with complexion. This is why we have copper tone and black Indians being the same people. They have removed anything between copper and black has been removed out the color spectrum. And black and copper tone are like black and midnight blue. They're damn near like you have to really stare into them to see the difference. That's what they're trying to tell you. That copper and black are so close, can't even tell the difference more or less. Like I was confused. Like, yeah, I said this copper tone guy. You're right, Wesley Snipes. Oh yeah, that was him. It was Wesley Snipes. The fuck these people are saying. That's what this is. And here we go again. Do I have to point out this nigga is definitely struggling with his diet? Let me tell you something. I am of descent. I am on record as being one of these East Coast Black Indians. And I'm telling you right now, I'm fucking triracial. This nigga is fucking lying. And he cannot speak for no Northeast Eastern Seaboard community out. He can't speak for none of them. He would get run the fuck out of any tribal meeting he ever stepped in talking that shit. There might be one or two that might want to hear what we gotta say, but for the most part, he would get run the fuck out because that shit you're talking is insane. You obviously have no connection to any real community outside of these online social media think tank communities. This shit is poor. Why would you not speak to the people and get first-hand information? Why is niggas talking about Osceola and they not talking to Osceola's family? And I ain't talking about his seventh cousin and his 24th first cousin 17 times removed. I'm talking about his motherfucking children, his grandchildren. I'm talking about his line. Go talk to his line. That's who the fuck you need to be talking to. Not his cousin's line. Go talk to their line. See what the fuck they got to say. I don't know why these scholars are sitting here taking shots at Black East Coast Indians, but at the same time trying to fucking use our history to validate their fucking story. And this nigga's no better than the rest of these niggas. But this nigga's like 70. What the fuck, bro? Have the fucking elders failed us? Like, is it that bad? They ain't failed me. My elders ain't failed me. They ain't teach me none of this shit. I gotta go fuck around with you dumb niggas and learn this shit. Yeah, but nowhere does it say Black Indian. Why are you slipping that in there? Why are you trying to steal people's fucking history? Hmm. Yeah, I think my shit is acting up. Hold on. This nigga started talking about some Moorish garb and shit. This nigga's Moorish garbage. This shit is insane.
We can find that there were some Hebrew Indian tribes There were some Muslim Indian tribes. So there was just all type of people in North America when Europeans came. These are some of the California Indians. What I find very interesting is that look at that left-hand picture. That picture on the left-hand side, you can see some of the women who used to live in California. Look at those hairstyles. You can see we always like to have our hair looking good. Then on the other side, we can see some of the other black tribes that lived in California. California used to be full of black tribes, and the European, as I said, he killed them off because they set a bounty, and so people, they're just going out killing these black Indians. You hate to really think about the cruelty. You hate to really think about the evil that Europeans can do. You hate to think about it, but hey, they spend a lot of times doing that. These are the Aklani people, also known as the Costanoans. They are Native American people of the Central and Northern California coast.
That's
you can see the color picture.
That's all
of the original painting. This was painted by Jose Cordero in 1816. A lot of the essays, a lot of the Chicanos, they always say, "Oh, California was always a place for the Chicano. Chicano run California." That's a lie. It wasn't no damn Spanish in California. Wasn't no Chicanos in California. So all the lie was mainly these black Indians. They came in later. You see, they came in later. The term Aklani has been used in place of Costanoan since the 1970s by some descendants groups and by most ethnographers. Again, as I said, in California, many parts of the South, once they get rid of a black population, or they take away the black Indians' land, then they bring in some pretendians, some red Indians, and then they say, "Hey, you pretend to be this tribe." They're not the original tribes in California. The original tribes in California were black. Here's the evidence. Here's the pictures.
Look at the picture.
They don't look like red Indians to me. They wore afros.
Look.
Those are some cool hairstyles. I mean, hey,
I hope y'all heard what you just said.
I wouldn't be surprised if many of the brothers and sisters today would want to wear their hair like that. What up, though? Here's some more pictures of California Indians. There was over 100 tribes in California when the Spanish arrived.
So he said,
Louis Charles.
"You don't look like red Indians to me." You know who else said something like that? Donald Trump. "They don't look like Indians to me." It's the same shit. It's literally the same shit. People are, listen, Native Americans, American Indians, right, were darker than they are now. That's simple. Okay. That doesn't make them the African Americans. I don't know how you're like missing out on everything in lieu of complexion. Like, how are you a doctor looking at people's clothing saying they're the same people because they both got turbans on? It's like saying, oh, they're the same people because they both got dreads. Nigga, that's a fucking homeless dog, and that's a nigga that went to a salon and got his fucking hair dreaded up. That's a fucking dog that needs to be groomed. They both got dreads. To make them the same people from the same fucking customs and same communities. They both their hair is dreaded. What are we talking about? I can't do this shit. CLYDE Winters has lost his fucking mind. And it feels like he's trying to play up to these motherfuckers. I'm saying get all these motherfuckers in the church together. Get all these motherfuckers together. Yeah, I can't do it no more. I gotta get out of this bitch. I can't do this. This is ridiculous. So yeah, CLYDE Winters is completely full of shit at this point. He'll say anything to get some fucking cash app. the Cash App money. So on that note, man, I'm about to get the fuck up out of here. Take it down for the night. This is crazy. I got work to do in the morning. Peace for now. Peace.